So we will quickly end by looking at this example. Because so far, we've been assuming that our workers' productivity is only determined by their education. We've assumed everything else about the workers are the same. However, workers with the same educational attainment may still differ in their natural abilities. Some may have skills that are just better suited to the job, while others may have worse skills that make them less well suited to particular jobs. So let's look at an example where two workers have the same discount rate, but they have different natural abilities. People with higher natural abilities tend to get more out of each additional year of schooling. They can acquire knowledge and skills more easily, and as a result, they earn more in the labor market for each extra year they stay in school. On the other hand, someone with lower natural ability may not see as much of a wage increase from additional schooling. So in practice, they tend to choose to invest less in education, even if their discount rate's the same. So we can see that here. The graph on the left, Bob has higher returns to education than Ace, but a more skilled worker also gives up more years for education. So looking at the graph on the left, we see the two workers that face the same discount rate and the same rate of interest. So at this point, Ace, who is slightly less skilled, this corresponds to 11 years of schooling. Whereas for Bob, we trace it out to his curve farther out here. That corresponds to 12 years of schooling. So even at the same discount rate, Bob still chooses to spend more years in school because he's on a different curve. He has a higher marginal rate of return to education. When we look at the graph on the right to see the effects that this education has on Bob compared to Ace, we face an issue just trying to work this out. So before we assumed that both workers had the same skill level, so they would have the same curve. Bob and Ace would both be up here. But that's not the case now because Ace doesn't have the same skill level as Bob. So each additional year of education to him is less worthwhile. So let's look at Ace. Starting out right here with 11 years of education, this is the wage that he would receive, again, much lower than what Bob was receiving with his high school diploma. Let's assume that this law passes. After it passes, Ace is now required, or someone like Ace is required to go to school for all 12 years, graduate with their high school diploma. Because Ace is on this lower curve, even with the additional years of education to bring him in line with Bob, he's still earning this wage, WAce, which is much lower than Bob's wage. The additional years of education is much more valuable to Bob because Bob's skill level helps him learn more while he's in school. Now, unfortunately, our model does not allow us to distinguish between the two causes of Bob's increased wages, the earnings for education and the higher returns for each year of education. When we're trying to understand the impact or the effect of education on workers' earnings, you can't distinguish what part of it is due to natural skills and ability versus what part of it is due to the education itself. So we can't assume that simply passing a law to require Ace to get his high school diploma would make him earn as much as Bob. In reality, it's likely that he would earn less, like we see here. So now it's going pretty long. I'm going to stop the lecture here, and we'll pick up with the second half of this chapter in the next lecture.